Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to USA Global TV's United Kitchens. I am Ricki McKenna, nutritionist, chef, author, speaker, and here I am today in my kitchen, and we'll be doing something called, it's actually a sweet potato and kale salad with chickpeas. And actually, since I ran out of kale, we're going to be using collard greens. So you're going to get a lesson in what to do with collard greens rather than kale, since they're a lot more, a little bit tougher leaf, but absolutely loaded with great minerals and vitamins. So welcome to the kitchen. Welcome to USA Global TV and United Kitchens. So we are going to start with something called, well, actually, let me just back up a little bit. We're using a sweet potato. We're using, it should be kale, but today it's collard greens. You can see them here. And I've stemmed them. I've taken the hard stems out. We're going to be using those and chickpeas. And we're going to create something called ras al hanout. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, which is a combination of herbs and spices to use to season both the chickpeas and the sweet potato. And so the first thing we're going to do is create that from these 7 spices and herbs that I have lined up here. So I'm going to take them and mix them in a little bowl so that we can use them, because the first thing we're going to do is take our chickpeas and I'm going to roll them around in some of the spice and toss them in it so that they get covered with the spice. The chickpeas, it's a 15-ounce can that I opened up. And I've drained it and rinsed them so that they're pretty clean. And we're going to start with the paprika, which is part of the ras al hanout. And let's see, we need a teaspoon of paprika. And this is regular paprika, not smoked. We're going to get them out of the way as I use them. The next is cumin. And we're using a, let's see, what am I doing here? Half a teaspoon. Okay, so we need a half a teaspoon. That was half a teaspoon. Wait 1 second. Okay, this is one of those fun days when you don't quite remember what you're doing sometimes, but we do. It's okay. And let's take that half a teaspoon of the cumin. And you can put a little more of each one in if you like, but I'm following the recipe because it's a particular spice and taste that we come up with. The next thing is cayenne pepper, ground cayenne, and this we only use a half, I believe, an eighth of a teaspoon. So we'll take an eighth of a teaspoon of the cayenne. That's pretty potent. And we happen to like spice, so I'm going to toss a few extra grains in. And again, this is a spice mix that is going to be used to make this a really interesting, we've done it before, very tasty salad. So we've got the cumin, the paprika, and the cayenne, and now we're going to use a 1/4 teaspoon each of coriander, ginger, turmeric, and black pepper. So here's the coriander. Okay. And we have the ginger, one of my favorite spices. And once you've done this, you'll taste it and you'll see what you want to use more or less of, because I do believe in the individual, doing this to make it really good. Whoops. You have to take this top off the turmeric. Let's see if we can do this. Oop, okay, I've got lots of turmeric. It's very good at antioxidants, so. All right, and of course, black pepper. And we need a quarter teaspoon of this. Yep. So you've got cayenne in here and you've got black pepper, which makes for an interesting taste combination. And I'm going to take my little whisk and bring it all together. You can see, kind of breaking up the turmeric. But this is a fresh mix that we're going to take, I think it's 2 tablespoons. Let me see. Yep, 2 teaspoons. Excuse me. Okay. And first I'm going to put in a tablespoon of 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Let's just for fun, we'll measure that. So we're coating our chickpeas with the olive oil first so that they will definitely absorb the spices. I'm going to mix that around first. And we'll take a couple of teaspoons full of the Ras Al Hanout that we've mixed. I'm just going to give it a little more mix to make sure, and sprinkle. There we go. And we'll toss this so we get the chickpeas completely coated. And I have lined a baking pan with parchment paper. And we're going to take our chickpeas and put them in the oven at 425. So they will roast while we prepare the greens to go with the salad and the sweet potato. Okay, I think that's tossed quite enough. And here's our lined baking pan. You can use a larger one. This is my favorite one, so I'm using it. And we're going to spread the chickpeas out, making sure I get every last bit of that wonderful seasoning. And spread them out so they'll bake fairly evenly. And this is also another way, just for fun, if you love chickpeas as I do, and you love that they're good for protein and they're a wonderful vegetable, I like doing this with even just some olive oil and salt and garlic, or whatever your favorite spices are, and just roast them as a nice snack because they get all crispy and delicious. Okay, so we're going to put these in the oven, and it's preheated to 425. And I'm going to set my timer for about 15 minutes to check it. In the meantime, we're going to take our leaves of coriander, and I'm going to chiffonade them. I've laid them on top of each other. I have 3 very large leaves. And to chiffonade, I'm going to roll them lengthwise because I want to cut them into smaller pieces. So we're going to roll them up. It's kind of like, well, it's rolling them up. There we go. And now I'm going to take my very nice sharp knife and carefully cut narrow ribbons. But the other thing I'm going to do too, because this is a salad, is cut these in half so that we'll end up with pieces that are edible, and somebody won't end up with a fork in their mouth and the greens all over the place. So as I chiffonade it into smaller ribbons, I'm going to take each one about 3 slices and cut them in half. And you can see I've rolled it up. And we're going to cut those in half. And sometimes a little bit more. As we get to the bigger pieces, the bigger parts of the leaves, I may cut it more than once. Because as I say, we do want kind of bite-sized pieces for the salad. Okay. It's beginning to smell really good. All right. And we'll get this. And then I'll show you what else we're going to do with these because, as I said, the coriander, collard greens are a little tougher than kale would be. So what I'm going to do is take them and just blanch them in water, which is already boiling. Yep, turn it up a little bit. I'm going to put them in there for about a minute, but not much more, because we want to just make them a little more tender, and it will also bring out the beautiful green color of the leaves and help make them quite a bit more edible in a salad, because as you probably know, if you've worked with kale or collard greens, they're a little bit tougher, and as I said, and so we're going to take a pan of boiling water, and I'm going to put my leaves in there. Just a minute. If you do this with kale, you don't have to worry about this step, but I'm just going to drop them in there and let them soak in there for about a minute. I'm turning it up. They're already turning a beautiful green, deep, wonderful, yummy green. And then I'll strain them to take them out of there, and then we can arrange them in. I'm going to take my sweet potato, which is sitting here on my mandolin. And if you don't have a mandolin, then you can use, it's raw. You can use a potato peeler if you have them, which you can control easily. What you want are little thin slices. So we're just going to slice lengthwise. Whoop. And that's how they come out. They're almost paper thin. And this is also a wonderful way to cook sweet potatoes in a hurry. When you have guests or you're just in a hurry, you get home from work and you decide you want to make sweet potatoes, and here's what we have. Okay. Mandolins are a wonderful tool because they do work beautifully to slice evenly. And when you get to the bottom, you get a little skinny piece with the skin on. By the way, I did not skin the potato. It's raw. And we're done here. That's how fast we need to get those out of there. And I have my strainer. And we're going to get those in there. Let's see. I'm going to have to get my spoon out to get them all in there. And of course, they shrink in volume when you do this. But since we're making about a half of the recipe, this is perfect. Okay. Let's put this out there. So I have my beautiful greens now. You can see the color's gotten really pretty, and they're hot. So I'm going to put them and spread them out in my bowl, which will be used later for serving. If you so desire, you can also drain them. But I think this is going to be enough moisture that'll work beautifully. And let's see, we can arrange these. Here's my bowl. I'm going to arrange them so they'll cool off. And of course, this will be a lovely salad. You can put them in the refrigerator for a few minutes if you like. I'm going to leave them out because frankly, I like to have salads at room temperature because I really believe that you smell and taste the vegetables much better that way when they're at room temperature rather than icy cold. So, there. Now I'm going to take my potato slices, the sweet potato, and you can see they're really, really thin. I feel like I'm dealing cards here. And I'm going to take the remaining rasa hanut, and my skillet is just about ready. I've used some olive oil in the skillet, and we have quite a bit from just one potato. So what I'm going to do is take a look at my recipe just to make sure. Oh, let me back up just a second. If you're using kale instead of the collard greens, and of course it's raw, then you take the kale and you chop it up to where you want it, and then you actually massage it with some olive oil and a little bit of salt to bring out the deep colors and the flavors, and massage it and to make it just a little more tender. This is the reason for taking the collard greens, because now they're tender instead of being really tough as they were. And this is you can get collard greens from big to little, but I used the big greens so I could show you the chiffonade process. And this makes it easier for people to eat. Okay, I'm going to take my sweet potato, and we're using, let's see. Okay. We take the remaining rasa hanut, and I'm going to add it to my olive oil, which is now heating. I'm going to sprinkle it in. And if you want to mix some more, that's perfect. You can do that. I'm going to take my sweet potatoes now and distribute them in the pan. If you use a larger pan, it sometimes works better, but I'm just going to do it layer by layer here and distribute my sweet potatoes so that they pick up the seasoning from the pan. Okay, and we may have to do this in a couple of batches because I think that'll work beautifully. We've got 2 batches that'll work fine. And just to let you see how that looks, we've got them distributed. And I've turned the heat up to medium high because with my range, that's where it needs to be to do this. It depends on how fast your range heats up and how hot it gets immediately. You don't want to burn them. You just want to saute them a little bit just so that they're edible. And you can actually eat them raw, but it's better when they're cooked. Anyway, okay, so now what we're going to do next is slice an onion. You can use a red onion or you can use a sweet green onion, a little more collard greens in there. And I'm going to take my onion and just make some slices, some thin slices to go in my salad. And you need about half of what I've got here. I've got a fairly good medium-sized onion. And actually, it's prettier if you use the red onion. And of course, it's a little different flavor, but I chose to use this one because I like the flavor of these onions. They're sweet, and yet they're pungent, so yummy. And I'm going to leave the onion in the rounds. I'm going to distribute that over my greens at this point, and just happily do that, spreading it around in the bowl. So we have a pretty green and white picture here. Okay, and one more piece. And that should be enough. As I said, it's about half of a medium onion, and I don't know if you can hear what's going on over here, but we have sweet potatoes sizzling. So I'm going to turn them over now. Oh yeah. And you don't really want them to burn, so I'm going to turn them over. Oh, it's beautiful. They're getting coated nicely with the oil and the wonderful spice. I'll show you what we're doing here. And then we'll put the next batch in a minute. First, we want these to cook. As you can see, they're cooking nicely. I don't want them burnt. You just want them sauteed. Alrighty, there. This one's got the skin on it. Oh, yum. Okay. There we go. The reason I'm using this pair of tongs is because I have, it's a non-stick pan and I don't want to scratch it. You have to be careful of that. So back on the heat we go. And then our next batch we'll bring over. I'm going to put that in a little bowl and get it ready. Okay. They're going to be ready to go in just a couple of minutes. And we'll take these out, and they really become like ribbons almost. So there. By the way, if you're going to do the massage of the kale, my suggestion is to have gloves handy because it's a lot easier to work with the gloves and a lot less messy for your fingers. So here's our onion, and that's just about finished. I'm going to try a little different. Here we go. Now let's check on the chickpeas. Oh yeah, they are crisping up and browning beautifully. So we'll take them out in just a couple of minutes. And of course they're going to be warm. So I'm going to put them back in a bowl and let them cool off a little bit before I put them in the salad and mix them in. But in the meantime, we have the collard greens and the onions sitting there ready for the rest of the salad. And I'm going to take my avocado. And I always kind of say a prayer when I open an avocado that it's going to be absolutely beautiful. It is. Yay. And I'm going to peel it and then add some slices. Get them ready to add on top. And if your avocado is firmly ripe, that's where you want it. You want to be able to do this without the avocado squishing in your hands. So let me turn those. We're going to take these and put them right on top and put the next batch in. Here we go. Actually, I think I'm going to just put them carefully around. The last time I did this, we piled them up in different places, and it was interesting because it does distribute through the whole thing. You can place them wherever you want them. And the reason I'm not dumping them on is because I'll get the oil all over the salad, and we don't want that. There'll be plenty of taste in the salad. This way. Boop, there we go. Wink. Okay. I'm going to put them over more on one side than the other, because then when people take the salad, they can choose what they want. But they'll get the greens. Now let's put our second batch in. I'm going to make sure that the spices are distributed through the oil and put my second batch of sweet potatoes in there to cook. Making sure I get the seasoning on every piece. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So we have our second batch sizzling. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because the pan will retain the heat so that they'll be done beautifully. Meantime, back to the avocado. We'll peel it and then we'll cut it in slices to prepare for putting on the salad. There we go. Okay. And if you're having guests, you can do this way ahead of time and actually put it in the refrigerator if you choose, and then serve it really cool. I prefer, as I said, I prefer my salads to be a little more on the room temperature. Okay. Let's see how our chickpeas are doing. Oh, beautiful. I'm going to let them sit in there. I'm turning the oven off and letting them sit in there for a couple more minutes while we peel the avocado and get that ready. And let's cut the top of it out. See how easily that comes off? When you test your avocado, please don't squeeze hard. All you need to do is to squeeze it very, very gently. And if it does move a teeny weeny bit in your hand, then it's usually ready to eat. And this one was in the refrigerator, so I took it out about an hour ago to let it get to room temperature where it's a little bit easier to work with, of course. But the cold, the chilly part of it helps it to be easier. Let's see how our, I tell you what, just to show you how these are, here's what happens to the sweet potatoes. They're cooked, and it only took a couple of minutes. Yum. Actually, what I'm going to do is add some salt to this batch. Just a little bit. I don't want too much because I don't want to over salt. So I'm going to put just a sprinkle on these. Oh my goodness, that Ras Al Hanout comes through. The chili pepper and the black peppers, yeah. So you're going to get a taste of everything in there. Let's turn these guys over. And as I said, I turned my heat down a little bit because the pan does retain the heat and it cooks faster. The second batch usually cooks faster, which it has. Oh, beautiful. Actually, I'm going to turn it off because the pan does retain the heat, and we'll get that ready. And in just a minute, we'll take the, let's see. Ah, lovely. Now you can do two things here with the chickpeas. I'm going to take them out and let them cool off a little bit. Ah, beautiful. They are nicely browned. And so I'm going to put them here and let them cool down a wee bit before we put them on top of the salad. And in the meantime, let's see how these are going. Here we go. One more piece. As I said, I turned the heat off because the pan does retain the heat. So meantime, I'm going to slice my avocado and have that ready. And you can slice your avocado as thin or as thick as you like. I prefer kind of medium thin or medium thick slices. And let's see. Yum. Okay. And I think, frankly, that that's going to be enough because I used the whole avocado when I made the double batch or the regular batch of it. So I'm going to use just half. And now I'd like to show you how to store the avocado so that it doesn't turn brown, which I know happens a lot. It will oxidize. I'm going to put it in a glass container. And then since I happen to like avocado with lime, okay, and this is an extra lesson for today. We'll take our avocado. Okay, these are done. And I'm going to sprinkle some lime juice on it before I put it into the refrigerator. That way it'll help keep it from oxidizing, and it'll also give it a little flavor. Make sure you get it all over the avocado and then seal it. Cover it and plop it in the refrigerator, which I'll do later. Same thing with my onion. I have another container for that. And if I have a deep enough container, I can fit the whole onion in, which I do. And it also keeps the onion from bringing that wonderful onion aroma into your refrigerator. Make sure it's sealed completely. There we we go. So we'll have those ready to put in the fridge. And we've got our avocado ready to go. Let's see. And that's how we're doing here. Okay. All right. I'm going to take the rest of my sweet potatoes out, and you can see these have gotten browned a little bit more, which is fine. They're just yummy. And I'm going to put them in here. They are coated with the ras al hanout, as well as a wee bit of olive oil, and you don't want a lot of oil in the salad because it's just, this has enough taste and dressing for itself. What I may do is take a little bit of, maybe just sprinkle a little bit of olive oil and a teeny bit of lemon juice on top. So I'm going to take my sweet chickpeas and we'll roll them around in the pan. Oh, yummy. Now you can do this either of two ways. It's up to you. You can put them all in one place, almost like putting them in a bowl to eat by themselves or in a mixed bowl of foods. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spread out my potatoes a little bit more toward the middle, and the onions will be surrounding them. I'm going to put a little on top, dig them out from the bottom and put them on top, just a little, makes it pretty. And then I'm going to take my chickpeas and just sprinkle. As I said, you can put them all in one space if you like, on one side, so people can choose. But I like them all throughout the salad because it also helps get the wonderful flavor of the ras al hanout on everything. And let's see. Okay. The pan is definitely still hot, so just distributing among all the rest of the salad. And when you serve it, just dig underneath so you get the greens as well, because you want all of the flavors to mix. I might just save a few of these just to nibble on later. As I said, they're really good when you cook them like this. You bake them at 425 for about 20 minutes. And sometimes it'll take more depending on your oven. But 425, that's Fahrenheit degrees. I'm not sure what it is in centigrade, but most of you will know the difference. Okay, we've got that almost that whole 15-ounce can there. And so I'm going to take my avocado and distribute that over the salad. And yes, I'm using my fingers. But you can do this any way you so desire, but we just want to make it look pretty. And so people will just dig in. And if it were up to me, I might throw a tomato in just for the color, but I'm not going to. So here you have it. And I think what I will do, after I clean my fingers, if you have a little bit of the ras al hanout left, you can sprinkle it on top. But here's our salad. We have the greens, the onion, the chickpeas, and the avocado, and the combination of flavors. And I'm going to give it a taste, because the last time I did this, it was really good. So I'm going to take just a little on this side. Let's see. I have an idea. We'll put it on a plate so that you can see it. There we go. Ah, beautiful. So we have a little of the greens, a little of the onion, a little of the chickpeas, and our sweet potato. And let's just give that a taste. I love sweet potatoes. And in combination with the rest of the food here, oh my, it's good. There is a difference in the flavor, of course, between the using raw kale and using the blanched collard greens. And frankly, I think I like the collard greens better than the kale. But that will be up to you. So you have the choice to use either one. Remember, the kale you do not have to put in blanch. You just use it raw and chop it up any way you like after you've taken the big stems out. And so the other thing I'd like to share with you is my book, which is on Amazon. But if you want the spiral version, which I have here, it is Yes, You Can Eat Well and Eat Right and Find the Joy of Cooking. And if you haven't found the joy of cooking, feel free to get in touch with me at rickiskitchen.net. That's RICKIS kitchen.net. There's no apostrophe in there, but my whole raison d'etre is I love food and I love to feed people. So here we are on United Kitchens. Come back and join us again. We'll be on next week. I believe it's the 3rd of November. And next week we'll be doing some poached pears in red wine, getting you ready for the holidays, which are coming up faster than you can imagine. And so I hope you will join us again on United Kitchens on USA Global TV. And so have a wonderful, blessed weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Ricki McKenna, United Kitchens on USA Global TV. Bless you all and hearty appetite. Thank you.